Good morning, and thank you, everyone. Before I begin getting into what my talk is really about, I want to share a story that happened to me this morning. I was driving my daughter to school, and I was letting her know how nervous I was to do this. And she's like, "Mommy, I was really nervous before I went on to perform a play. And you know what? You just need to breathe." And that is my 6-year-old daughter telling me that. She was giving her mom awesome advice. So something to be proud of, but something that also relates why I'm here today. I want to talk about something that has both changed the way that I think and the way that I look at people. And I wish I could say that this positive change was my own doing, that I sought to become a better person, but that's not the case. About 4 months ago, I was given an assignment during my last semester of graduate school. The assignment was that I needed to implement a reform. And this reform had to be something that I created by myself, and that also related to the criminal justice system. So what happened? I absolutely freaked out. After studying for so long on a subject, this was the first time that I had been tasked with taking my information and putting it to practical use. Multiple choice questions, essays, had that down pat. Actually creating something, what was my teacher asking? So what I did was I listened to my daughter's advice. I took a breath, and I stopped. And then I moved on to the next problem. So I'm not employed in a criminal justice agency where you would think that implementing a reform of that sort would be the easiest. I had to think outside of the box. So about 8 months ago, I recall reading something and stumbling upon a term that I had never heard before. And as I read the definition of this term, I realized that while I had not seen it before, I had seen the actions that were describing before in society. The term was slut-shaming, and it really grabbed my attention, and just because it's such a, well, the word slut is kind of provocative, and it's an attention-grabbing word, and also because I had seen it in action before. So what slut-shaming is, for those of you that aren't aware, is degrading or belittling or shaming a woman for participating in actions that are thought to be reserved for sluts. So, for example, if a woman goes out in public wearing provocative or really revealing clothing, she is deemed a slut. If a woman has multiple sex partners, she is deemed a slut. If a woman even proclaims her enjoyment and desire for sex, she is deemed a slut. So this stopped and made me think, wow, just by looking at someone, you think you can, talk about their life and say what makes them up as a person. So I thought, because this had struck me, that it would also strike other people as well. And how I related this to criminal justice, because that was a condition of the reform that I needed to institute, was that in slut-shaming, you are relating someone's clothing to their sexual activity. So in other words, when a woman wears provocative clothing, she is projecting to the world that she is desiring sexual activity, hence her clothing equals her consent. This helps perpetuate underlying ideas and beliefs in our culture that serve to create acts of sexual violence against women, rape myths and rape culture. So I wanted to bring light to this, and hence that's how the subject of my reform was chosen. I created a community Facebook page. It was titled "What a Slut," and part of the reform was for me to create images to visually show what I was talking about and what slut-shaming meant to me and how you can sort of combat it. And I really just want to bring attention to one image. I talked about my daughter earlier. This one right here, this image. It was really, really tough for me to put it up on the internet for everyone to see. Those are my daughter's clothes and her jump rope, and it's such a personal thing for me to put out there. But I did what she advised me to do again. I took a breath, and I thought about it. And what I was trying to say, this picture is vital to it. I didn't want to also belittle the victims of childhood rape, but I did want to put a message across. Men and women who wear jeans and t-shirts, sweatshirts, children's clothing, burqas, and going out clothing, they can all be raped. So I decided to go ahead and put the image out there, and I think that really helped draw me into the project more, because I put such a personal piece of my life out there for the world to see. So I also put a lot of articles and just some of the points of my paper that I had to write, because I was simultaneously writing a paper based on the reform that I was conducting. And I did this, and many people commented. It was really a growing experience. I learned a lot about the subject of slut-shaming, but also in my research, I learned something more, something a little bit broader, and that I believe shaming is everywhere. And I want all of you to do me a really quick favor. I want you to think back to a time in your life when someone said something to you, something negative, and it made you feel like crap. I can specifically think of incidences that occurred in my early childhood and early adulthood that made me feel bad. Then, when they occurred, and to this day, they make me feel bad. Words and shame, therefore, have a lot of power. So these are some examples of the types of shaming that I uncovered when I was doing my research. Slut shaming, which we already covered, body shaming, in particular fat shaming, sexual orientation shaming, and class shaming. There are so many more varieties. These are just the ones that I stumbled upon most often. Now the truth is, shaming hurts. The shamer, a lot of the time, doesn't want to hurt you. They actually are trying to take an action that they see as negative and change it from positive. So, for example, a woman wearing provocative clothing, they're shaming her and calling her a slut because they believe that she'll put more clothes on and she'll stop sleeping around. What a hussy. That is the point of that. But in calling someone a slut, you're, rather than attacking the actions that they're doing, you're attacking the person themselves. People internalize these words, and rather than propel them towards positive change, they're going to keep doing what they're doing, hate themselves, or just really have a breakdown. I can literally think of some of the insults that people have given me that they're not true. I know they're not true, but they still hurt. So my challenge in tying in with the theme is, rather than shame someone, just look, because we're human and we look at other people and we evaluate the situation and we judge, but rather than shame, think. Kind of like what my daughter said, take a step back and breathe. So the next time you see someone, a woman, wearing something that you don't know what she's wearing, and you're like, wow, what is she wearing? Rather than say, oh, she's just a slut, think about it. Could be laundry day, could be the only thing she had to wear. She could be allergic to cotton, maybe only form-fitting materials are what works for her. She could be going to a special event, and she could also just like wearing that and feel good in it, and that is absolutely 100% okay, because we all feel different. And most important, I believe, is, why is this even affecting me? Why is it so important for me, by what I'm viewing about someone? When we know the superficiality of our appearances, why is it worth my time and energy to make them feel bad? Many times during my project, I felt like really frustrated. And I wanted to throw my computer through the window many times. Now, while I ran into many like-minded individuals, I also ran across individuals who called me a slut, who propositioned me for sex, and who just plain outright disagreed with what I had to say. And rather than yell at them, I took a step back, and I thought, how would I get someone to make me change my mind? And I took a breath, and I typed. And I typed in a manner that was both fact-based and non-reactionary, and I put the information out there for everyone to see. Now, not everyone will read what I had to say. Many who read what I have to say will not agree with what I have to say, or they'll misinterpret it. But there are a few out there who are just missing a single piece of information, and maybe I provide that for them. So for them, and for the discontinuation of shaming activities, I will continue to look and think. Thank you.